Member for Fort Garry Riverview.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Today we learned a mere 20 minutes before we came into the session for the first time after months and months that the Premier, along with every single cabinet minister, will lock in the raise they gave themselves while at the same time planning to cut the jobs, services and programs that Manitobans rely on. Now, the Minister of Crown Services went overboard in the last session, saying he would not interfere in the affairs of Crown Services, and yet we know that 900 jobs at Manitoba Hydro will be lost, and 15% of jobs will be lost at other Crown corporations. Will he give back his 20% raise for violating his mandate letter not to interfere with Crown corporations in Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister of Crown Services.
Well, Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for that question, because the previous NPP government, of which he was a member, took frontline dollars and put it into Manitoba Hydro vice presidents. In fact, our government got a Manitoba Hydro that had 11 vice presidents. Under our government's leadership, that's been reduced by 3. Our government is going to take money. Our government's priority is to take money from vice presidents and put it back into frontline services. We will repair the finances of this province.
Order. Order. Order, please. The Honourable Member for Fort Garry Riverview on a supplementary question.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. You have to wait to ask the question for the Premier to complete his comedy show on the other side of the House. Ask for a little bit more respect when we get up to ask questions on this side of the House. Now, the question here... Well, Madam Speaker, this is a Premier who gave himself a 20% raise, took 2 months off while in Costa Rica, and at the same time is asking Manitobans to buckle down, lose their jobs, and not have the services and programs that they rely on. So I'm asking him now, I'm asking the Premier, will you take a 20% cut in your salary for not doing the job and violating the mandate letter he sent out to the Crown Services Minister and every other?
Just a reminder to members of the House that questions are to be directed through the chair and not directly to members of the government who the member is trying to ask a question of. So rather than referring to somebody as you, could the members in opposition please remember to direct your questions in a third-party manner through the chair, please. The Honourable Member for Crown Services.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And under our hard-working and diligent Premier, we have now reduced the vice presidents at Manitoba Hydro by 3. And in fact, Madam Speaker, we got an endorsement, and I would like to read that endorsement publicly. Comes out of Hansard, in which it says, we reduce the number of vice presidents and put more of those resources back to the front lines. Who gave us that endorsement? The former Premier of Manitoba, Gary Doer.
The Honourable Member for Fort Garry Riverview on a final supplementary.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. This side of the House will take a wage freeze if that's what is required to stand in solidarity with workers across this province, To stand in solidarity, Madam Speaker, I think I have the floor here. To stand in solidarity with workers across the province whose jobs are under attack by a government that simply doesn't care about them, doesn't care about their families, and doesn't care about their communities. So I'm asking the Premier today, will he step aside from the 20% increase in salary that he's given himself and do what's right for Manitobans and make the same sacrifices as every other Manitoban that he's asking to do.
The Honourable Minister of Crown Services.
Well, and again, Madam Speaker, our government has reduced 11 vice presidents at Manitoba Hydro by 3. We are taking dollars from the top and putting them back down to where the services are most needed, and that's at the front line. But we have another endorsement, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to read this endorsement. There were more vice presidents than virtually any corporation in this city or this province. We have no apologies. By the way, saving millions of dollars of taxpayers' money. Who gave us that endorsement? Former NDP Hydro Minister Dave Chomiak.
Order. Order. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the government's plan to cap 900 jobs from Manitoba Hydro doesn't make sense. Cutting 900 good-paying jobs will hurt 900 families. Will the Minister for Crown Services please explain why he interfered in the removal of 8 vice presidents from Manitoba Hydro? Did he direct that?
The Honourable Minister of Crown Services.
Well, Madam Speaker, our government inherited a situation where we had so much bureaucracy at the top that we decided to indicate to our crowns that we wanted to see a reduction at that high level, particularly in Manitoba Hydro, where there were 11 vice presidents. We've already reduced that by 3. We are going to take money from the vice president's positions and put it back where it belongs, into front-line services. That's what Manitobans elected this government to do, to fix the finances of this province, to fix the finances of the Crown corporations, and that's exactly what this government's going to do.